to say this. Al Sharpton just came out. This is just trending right now. He's saying tonight that he suspects the L.A. cop shooter was planted to make Black Lives Matter look bad. Al, you need professional help, dude.
Al needs deliverance.
Help. He needs
Al
deliverance.
needs deliverance is what he needs.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
The other thing was Trump coming out the other day with his future potential Supreme Court justices.
Yes.
Now, why would he do that? Does he know something's coming?
Yep, I think he
better
does.
buckle up. Better buckle up, man.
He's got some good names on there, too.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, it's we got good stuff happening in the midst of all of this. That's the point to all this, brother. And, look, the whole Black Lives Matter thing, it's been exposed. They've even gone public talking about how the witchcraft and how they're calling down these ancient spirits in order to manipulate all these kids. Now, Gina Phillips has come out, and I'm not going to go into that's her territory, but Gina has come out and has exposed that these kids are mind controlled. The handlers are the ones with the umbrellas. They're professionally mind controlled. They can do it in an hour. It doesn't take. They got it down to a fine art. So they're on the streets. They're calling down these ancient spirits, and they're operating in this. Now, look, we all know the patriotic movement is exposing a lot of the satanic movement out there, the pedophilia, the satanic ritual abuse, all of the human and child trafficking that's going on out there. But don't think for 1 second, folks, that it's not going on in the church. That it parallels with the church. Anything, I have said this from day one that the Lord was showing me, that what you see going on in the political realm is paralleling in the church realm, guys. So don't think for 1 second that it's not happening. Now, there's something I want to cover here for a minute, is that any time in history when you look at a move of God upon this earth, that it always starts off as a righteous move of God. And somewhere in the midst of it, it gets tainted because of man.
Correct.
Now, I have not tweeted this out yet, but I'm fixing to. Because the Lord gave me this. He says, sometimes man will start off on a righteous path serving the Lord. Then at some point, a man's pride enters in and deviates from the path the Lord set before him. The Lord will lovingly correct. When man isn't willing, the Lord will step aside and allow man to serve his own will.
Wow. That's powerful.
God gives everyone their own free will. This includes politicians. This includes churches. This includes pastors. I don't care who you are. All right. Under the sound of my voice, this includes Mark Taylor. I don't care who you are. Jesus went before the Lord and he said, Lord, your will be done, not mine. But the problem, Chris, is that most people, their character or their integrity has been tainted to the point that they don't fully submit to the Lord Jesus. They don't submit to the Father's will. So therefore, because their character has still not been uncorrupted, if you will, they now begin to serve their will and not God's will. They pray, Lord, your will be done, not mine. Well, the second you start entering into these demonic spirits or mammon, let's say, like a lot of these mega churches, or they're operating a Leviathan or a Jezebelic spirit, you're no longer serving God's will. You're serving your will. If you're looking for a big, fancy, fine home through your ministry and in a car and this, that, and the other, like a lot of these mega ministries, you're not serving God's will. You're serving man's will. Look, and this is the part that people don't want to go through. I've talked about character on this show 1,000 times. People can go back and listen to this. Character is always the foundation upon which God will build you, his ministry upon you. But if that foundation is not thick enough, if all you got a 6-inch foundation for a house, but you're trying to build a high-rise on it, it will collapse under its own weight.
Excellent analogy.
God will never violate your will. That's a free gift that he's given everyone. So when you pray, when Jesus prayed, Lord, your will be done, not mine, what happened right after that? He went through the most painstaking death that you could possibly have.
That's right.
And guess what? When you fully submit to the Lord himself and to his will, not yours, it's going to be painful, brother. It's going to be painful, but most people don't want to go through that.
No, they don't.
So this goes for political leaders. This goes for religious leaders. It goes for all of it.
Exactly. Well, the Lord talks about dying daily, Mark, and it's an excellent point that when the Lord prayed that prayer, he did not get put on the throne. He went to the cross and he was crucified. In fact, it got to the point in the garden that Jesus literally looked into that cup and he said, Lord, if you can let this cup pass from me, please let it pass from me, because he didn't want to drink it. And then he reached that point. He said, "Not my will, but your will be done," and he drank the cup of suffering. And I will say,
look at what you're doing right. Look what's happening right now. What are we going through right now as a country? What are we going through on the planet? Suffering.
Going through suffering, great suffering.
Why? Because God's trying to clean out the character and integrity of man right now. He's exposing the character and integrity of man. He's exposing everything that is corrupt in every man, woman, and child on this planet right now. And if there's something corrupt in you, it will be exposed. He will deal with it right now. Everything's being exposed that can be exposed right now.
I'll agree with that, and it's on a level that we've never seen it either.
Never seen before.
And it's touching all levels of society. It's touching the educational, with these teachers being exposed, with the students, and all these horrible things they're doing with the kids. The Hollywood.
Well, they're finding teachers right now rioting in the streets with Antifa.
It's touching the entertainment industry. It's always touched that. Yep. But it's touching the political realm and the spiritual realm, Mark. There's been a shaking in the church this year. Look, we've had some very, very, very big name ministries go down, not just temporarily, but literally crumble, and they're gone. And you don't even hear. You may not even hear from them anymore. Right. And it's not been that God has done it to be punitive, but in a way it is. It's been redemptive. But at some point, look, if you don't. I'm with you. The fire of his presence always reveals the dross. And then when it reveals the part of you that's bad, you have a choice then. You can deal with it, humble yourself, and say, Lord, I'm wrong. I need to change course, come back, and get in line with what you want me to do. Or you can get obstinate, you can get arrogant, you can get hard-hearted, and you can stick your finger in God's face and say, I'm going to do it my way. And you know something? The Lord will let you do it. But you're going to pay a high price for that. I want to talk to you. We got 5 minutes before we start taking questions, 10 maybe. Me and you and Melissa Leggett, our dear friend Melissa, need prayer from Melissa tonight. Because we've all been under attack, all of us. And you've been under attack, she's been under attack. All of us, not just us, but other prophetic people. But it seems to me that there is an onslaught. You mentioned the witchcraft against the country. There's also an onslaught of witchcraft in the church, Mark, and a lot of it's coming from leaders. And this, witchcraft is what does the Bible say? Stubbornness for rebellion is the sin of witchcraft. Stubbornness is the sin of idolatry. When Paul asked the church of Galatia, who has bewitched you, O Galatians, it's talking about a spirit of control. It's this controlling spirit that the systems want to have over people.
That's right.
And I want to just say this, folks, and I want you to listen carefully to me tonight. We tend to get very tunnel vision about a building. And I know that most of you, and me and Mark, have been talking about the 501c3. Mark's helped me in that area. I didn't understand the 501c3 evil as greatly. I knew there was something. Why I never had fit into that system. But when I met my brother here and I began to listen to him talk about it, it was like a light bulb coming off, and I got it. I understood the system. But the system exists in all phases, folks. It doesn't matter the building. It's the system. And whether you're meeting in a home building or whether you're meeting in a church building or you're meeting in a garage, you can meet in a tent. It's about the leadership over you, whether you've got a system. And if you're jumping from one system to another system, guess what? You're not benefiting yourself. The whole purpose of coming out of this 501c3, folks, is to come out of the control and
the
manipulation of what the religious systems in this nation and this world are doing. And I will say this tonight. Look, Jesus never condemned the sinner. He offered the sinner salvation. And if the sinner accepts salvation, Jesus will grant him salvation. But I'm going to tell you something. Jesus has nothing good to say about religious systems. And he saved his worst condemnation for the religious system of Israel that basically wound up crucifying him on a cross. And it was the religious system that put him on that cross, not so much the leadership, not so much the sinners themselves, even though he did die for man's sins. Right. But I want people to understand that. Don't get caught up saying, well, we got a home group, so we're out of the system. You may not be. You may not be. Because if that leader in that home group has got the system in them, guess what? They're going to implement the system on you, even though you're sitting
Right.
in a home